I'm not going to call him Carlo Ancelotti anymore. It's like Calma Ancelotti, right? That's his new name because that's...
In their last 3 matches in all competitions, they've scored a whopping 14 goals spread among 6 players, as you can see. And when you think back to just a couple of weeks ago in Saudi Arabia in the Super Cup, where Barcelona thrashed them, didn't they? They've really bounced back from that. And does that speak to what kind of team this is, do you think, Nigel? Because a lot of times we've seen that kind of be a defining moment in the season when you get beat by your biggest rival in that fashion in a cup final, and the way that they've responded has been tremendous. It's
been tremendous with their response, but I'll say the biggest thing for me was looking at what the weakness is and what the problem is. For me, I've never been worried about Real Madrid and the attacking options and what they can do in the final third. It's always been defensively. Defensively, they've looked the most vulnerable that I've ever seen a Real Madrid side, and that is their biggest problem. That is why they're trying to address it with the links with getting Trent Alexander-Arnold at the right back. I think now there's a need. Would that be a good fit? I think it'll be a good fit. I think it'll be a great fit for what he can do and the versatility he can show and how he can change their dynamic of how they play. There's no better passer in world football than Trent Alexander-Arnold.
But isn't he one of those players that's attack first, not so defence first? So does that help their defensive problems? I think it will work well with Carlo Ancelotti. It gives them a different weapon and tool. But I also feel that they do need another centre-back. It's great to see Alaba come back in there with Rodrygo. I think that will strengthen it. Mendy in the left-back position, I think he needs someone else. I've got no issues with attacking. We've just seen them with the goal scorers and everything like that. Ability-wise, they're great. But to get the balance right, to make Real Madrid formidable again at that level, defensively is where they need to address. That's where the problem lies. It has really all come together on the attacking side of things because, I mean, a few months ago, Kylian Mbappé was saying this is a really low point in my career. It hasn't worked out how I would have expected so far at Real Madrid. And then, Grella, we see with the goals that they create and the fashion that they build up to these goals in, it's really good, isn't it? Looks like the Galacticos of old, that type of goal with the quality. What will you say there? That's not tactics. That's not pattern of play. That's just top-class players going out there playing football. That is just total football with freedom to express themselves and players trusting one another, players at the highest level. That was a beautifully orchestrated goal. Mike says they haven't reached their peak. Isn't this peak Carlo Ancelotti? Right? At the end of the season, his teams just start to click and they find ways to win. And we've spoken for years. I remember sitting here last year, we talked about the ghost of the Bernabeu when you go there and you have to play on a Champions League night and teams get suffocated in that place and they find ways to win at the end of the games. That's vintage. I'm not going to call him Carlo Ancelotti anymore. It's like Calma Ancelotti, right? That's his new name because that's who he is. I mean, that image last year, I can never get it out of my head. I think it was Joselu who scored the equalizer, and the place is going bananas. This place is going crazy, and he reaches around, turns around, gets a piece of gum, puts it in his mouth, place is going mad, and the kid asks him for a piece of gum in the stands, and everyone's going crazy, and he hands the kid a piece of gum, and I'm thinking, Carly, you got yourself back into the Champions League, you know? Do you like that as a player, though, if you saw that on the sideline? But don't you think in a lot, I forget, you were talking about who earlier on the sideline? Pep, probably. Pep, I think you were talking about, and sort of the intensity. I think you're seeing in Man City that they're taking on that personality. Don't you think this Real Madrid team takes on the personality of Carlo Ancelotti? Oh, 1,000%. Right? And they lost that Super Cup game. They got hammered by their biggest rival, right, in Barcelona, and now they bounce out, was it 14 goals in 4 games? Yeah, whatever the number was. Yeah. And that's crazy to think that they would bounce back like that. But, Nigel, it's calma, right? No, there's your Italian word of the day. Calma. Yeah, is it calma? No, Spanish is calmate. Yeah. But calma, there you go. Don't worry about it. I'm trilingual, international. Don't worry about that. I'll give credit as well, Tony, though, to Real Madrid, because the thing I like about them is it's not Ancelotti's job for who's coming in or who's not. They might have a discussion with him, but Real Madrid are in control of what players come to that football club, and it's your job just to manage. I think that plays a part. Because now when you look on the other hand, we just talked about Pep Guardiola. He's responsible for the rebuild. He has to play a part in what players come in and who's coming in. Ancelotti doesn't deal with that. You give me the players, I'll make it work. I'll tell you who goes where and how it works in my system. And I think that's another great thing for Real Madrid. You've got to give them credit because they do know how to recruit. We talk about Mbappé. Endrick, the young Brazilian, he's a star. He's a special player in the moments he's shown already. And the future's bright. If they can get it right defensively, it's going to be hard to go against them. Also, I just want to make one point. Rodrygo has been put in a little bit in the timeout, right? At the kiddie table when Mbappé came in. For me, he's an underrated player. For me, he's one of the top players. He adds fluidity
technical ability to strike balls like the one he strikes today. Always with a smile on his face, good team. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's a big piece of how they scored 14 goals in the last 3 or 4 games or whatever it may be. And he's going to be a big piece moving forward for them. He has to be if they're going to lift another Champions League.
Are you all satisfied with how things are right now with Kylian Mbappé? Because there was a lot of talk, wasn't there? Like, is it overkill? Are we seeing what we saw at PSG, kind of at Real Madrid, where there's too many superstars now, too many attacking players that all want free range at the attack? Now, Nigel, do you feel differently about where they're at this point in the season?
I never felt any indifferent. I felt it would take time. The chemistry was the problem that we always felt would be a problem, chemistry-wise, and it seems like they're getting into groove. And footballers don't lie. Their body language and how they interact on the football pitch is a real reflection on what it's like in the dressing room. And there is a lot of love and respect from both, for all the players, whether it's Mbappé with Jude Bellingham and Rodrygo. They all genuinely really like each other.
Whose team is this, would you say?
Whose team is this? I would still say it's Vinicius Jr.'s team. And I would say the big silent guy whose team makes this tick is Rodrygo. Rodrygo at the back is a massive pillar for this Real Madrid side.